I gotta talk to you about a racist compliment that I get all the time. After I perform my open mics, people will be like, wow, did you write that? Where did you find that poem? Is that your original work?
Here I am checking in at a hotel, and the lady who's checking me in goes, "You're really pretty to be a dark-skinned girl."
When you tell us that we're one of the good ones, when you tell us that we speak really well, when we have done nothing extraordinary, we just did something very normal, it is not a compliment. It is an insult. You are letting us know what you think about the whole of us, and that you don't really think much.
Yesterday in the gym, some random guy stopped me and he said, can I ask you something, mate? Are you doing some work on that house by the seafront, the white one? And I said, no, I live there. That's my house. And the look on his face.
All right, y'all. I gotta talk to you about a racist compliment that I get all the time. I've been writing poetry for a long time. I started at 20 years old. I'm about to be 36 in a few weeks, and I've gotten this same racist compliment over and over again. After I perform my open mics, people will be like, wow, did you write that? Where did you find that poem? Is that your original work? And everything about the premise of this event is poets sharing original work. You didn't ask the feature that. You didn't ask any of the other open micers that. You asked me. Why? For two reasons. One, you were incredibly impressed. Two, somewhere in your subconscious mind, you could not believe that something that beautiful, that creative, that profound, that intelligent came out of someone who looks like me. That is called internalized racism. Stop it.
Y'all, I really want people to have some sense. Here I am checking in at a hotel, and the lady who's checking me in goes, "You're really pretty to be a dark-skinned girl." And I literally made a video about this a couple of days ago. And usually I don't say anything. I just say, "Oh, thank you," like to people who say, "Oh, you're pretty for a dark-skinned girl." But the fact that she goes, "You're really pretty to be a dark-skinned girl," I thought about it. I'm like, nah. I told her straight up, that's not a compliment. That's really like a backhanded compliment. It's not a compliment at all. She's like, "Yeah, I'm just saying, like, to be dark like you're really pretty." You saying it again in a different way doesn't make it better. And I told her, that's not a compliment. Like, that to me sounds like a colorist ass statement. You're basically implying that just being pretty isn't associated with being dark skinned. Like, it's two separate things. And I was like, that's not a compliment. Like, at this point, just check me in. You know, I told her it's a colorist statement. It's not a compliment. I'm not taking this shit. It's 2024. Wake the fuck up. And what really baffles me, what really got on my nerve the most was the fact that she was an actually black woman. Like, do you not realize how stupid your statement sounds? How stupid you think you're saying a compliment, but it's actually not a fucking compliment. It's 2024. We just started the year. It's the first day of the year, bro. Please, guys, please, if you want to give a compliment to a dark-skinned woman, do not mention her skin color. If you want to mention, like, whether her skin is nice or whatever, yeah. But to be like, you're pretty to be a dark-skinned girl, or for somebody your skin color, you're pretty, like, what the fuck does that even mean? Like, you guys sound like a fucking idiot. That just got me so fucking tight. Like, how the fuck do you think that that's okay?
Not too long ago, I was walking into a convenience store, and an older white woman was walking out. She stopped me to tell me that I had great posture. This is what I call an insulting compliment that people of color get a lot, and it's usually from a specific group of older white people. When you tell us that we're one of the good ones, when you tell us that we speak really well, when we have done nothing extraordinary, we just did something very normal, it is not a compliment. It is an insult. You are letting us know what you think about the whole of us, and that you don't really think much of the whole of us. Before you give that compliment, ask yourself, Do you compliment random white people the same way?
Yesterday in the gym, some random guy stopped me and he said, can I ask you something, mate? Are you doing some work on that house by the seafront, the white one? And I said, no, I live there. That's my house. And the look on his face, and so instead of just going, really sorry, got it wrong, he decided to carry on digging his hole. He then said, well, my wife and I were walking past earlier on and we saw you getting some stuff out the boot and we thought there might be some tools. Oh, geez, man, I'm thinking, okay, this one's for me, is it? So anyway, we had this really strange conversation where he's trying to justify why he thinks I look like a plumber or an electrician. Man, I'm thinking the casual racism. Anyway, I thought, fuck this. I just walked on. I said, no, mate, I live there. Fine, I just carried on walking. But it reminded me of another situation many years ago. I was working up in Jersey, the Channel Islands. And I was staying in a 4-star hotel, right? And a really posh hotel in the center of town. And through the company, and basically I walked into the breakfast room where everyone has their breakfast, right? And as I walked in, one of the ladies who was in the breakfast room with her mate, she shouted to her friend who was getting a drink or something. She said, oh, the taxi has arrived. So anyway, I looked around thinking, what are they talking about? And I thought, oh shit, that one's for me, is it? The taxi's arrived. That's what she said. And I can't remember what I said at the time. I sort of just made light of it and we all had a good laugh. But she looked really embarrassed as well. And I just think, what is it with some people? Why have you got to take us there all the time? You know, the casual racism that you get sometimes, it's like, honestly, just stop.
It's been amusing to me how white people are so amazed when black people show up in the same spaces that they're in, or when black people are able to operate at a level that they operate at. Because for them, it's the expectation, but for black people, it's somehow extraordinary. You speak so well. Thank you. I've never in all of my life heard a white person tell another white person, you speak so well. You want to know why? Because for white people, speaking well is the expectation. For black people, I'm wowed. Oh my goodness, you're so articulate. For white people, there are basic human functions. You speak well, you read well, you write well, you can hold a conversation, you're well versed on many different topics. That is the expectation. But for black people, when black people perform these same basic human functions that white people perform, somehow it's an accomplishment. No, ma'am. What you're saying to me is that you don't expect for black people to be articulate or to be intelligent, and when you see that, you're wowed by it, and you want to let me know that this is not what I'm used to, this is not what I expect from your kind. But you're different. You're a different black girl. It's giving that a girl. No, ma'am. Cassie is giving Karen. Newsflash. Black people are intelligent. Black women are the most educated group of people in this country. Okay? Being educated, being articulate, knowing how to hold a conversation, knowing how to lead the room is not new to black people. I need white people to stop acting surprised about that. It's not a compliment. Here's a rule of thumb. White people, here's a rule of thumb. Before you give a black person a compliment, stop and ask yourself, is this something that I would say to my white counterpart? If the answer is no, it's not a compliment. And check yourself. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Something that will never not amuse me as a black woman walking is watching how many people will either walk right into me or walk towards me, expecting me to defer to them and move completely out of their way, even though I am walking on the right side of the sidewalk, and then act completely shocked, bamboozled, aghast that I do not defer to them, that I do not move out of their way. Maybe it's just me though.
I just wanted to remind everybody that the United States is 4% of the entire world's population. That means 96% of all living human beings are outside of your country. I promise you, your experiences in Virginia are not the truth of the universe. I promise you, my experiences in Florida is not the truth of the universe. I promise you, your experiences when you went to university in California is not the truth of the universe. Many times, as people who live in America, we fail to understand how truly massive the world is and how it definitely does not revolve around us. And whenever you actually had to acknowledge someone else's existence, you were still the main character. People do food a lot differently and it works for them. People do marriage a lot differently and it works for them. People do prisons a lot differently, crime a lot differently and it works for them. People do work a lot differently than it works for them. But why am I wording it like that? Because if it works for them, that means it could work for you. Learn somebody else's language. Learn how other people understand time, understand sex, understand money, understand community. If you give yourself the chance to explore the world outside of you, not only will you learn more about yourself, about the people around you, but equally as importantly, you'll learn more about this weird blue and green ball that you've been put on.
When I first came to America, one thing I couldn't wrap my head around is how Americans view Africa. Like, no matter how much, the way they talked about, I couldn't believe they were being real. But bruh, being here for a couple of years, I'm just saying, I'm starting to see where they're coming from. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that right on how they view Africa, because these people genuinely think we live in huts or village houses. Like, if you tell an American you're from Africa, they'll be like, oh, so how was it in your little village or tribe? Like that. They don't believe the cities there. Anyways, that was until I saw the adverts they have on TV. When I tell you, bruh, you won't recognize your own country. I used to see adverts like, oh, help a child in Uganda for $1. You can help a starving child in Uganda. Me personally, I've never been to Uganda. So I was like, maybe that's how Uganda is. Until I was watching another ad and I felt so sorry for the kid. They have a child there. He's there pointing at his mouth for $1. You know what I mean? They make it really sad. And then at the end, I hear, help a kid in Zambia. Bruh, even I didn't recognize my own country. Where do they go to shoot those films? I've never been there. Where they filmed that, I don't know where that is. Like, did they... What? You